I'm Damla Akhtaman. Welcome to my Gokaz knitting channel. In this video, we're knitting a stylish cardigan. By stylish, I mean we're using the glittery yarn group. I've created 66 motifs by mixing it with viscose yarn. I'd like to take a quick break from the video and talk about the Join button. By clicking the Join button, you can support me by choosing one of the options. Lots of love and thanks to all my supporters. Viscose and glittery yarn group. I'd like to show you the yarn right now. I knitted my motifs by incorporating them into the motif while knitting. Let me show you. For the base, I used the glittery yarn, doubled. I used a 3.25mm crochet hook. My yarns are from my dear Bill Heil Hobben. I'd like to thank them once again for giving me the opportunity to work with their yarns. You can order this yarn from them with confidence. Or, you can knit similar yarns from different yarn groups you have. First, we'll knit 66 motifs. Of these 66 motifs, 30 are 6 by 5, which is in front of me right now. We'll prepare 30 for the back. We'll prepare 24 6 by 4 motifs for the 12 plus 12 fronts. We'll prepare 12 6 plus 6 motifs for the sleeves, so I'm working the sleeves with a true dignified sleeve. Of course, if you want to work longer sleeves, you should consider plus 3 motifs for the sleeves and plus 6 motifs for the sleeves. Those who want to work the cardigan longer or shorter can consider -9 plus 9. The cardigan we'll knit will fit sizes 36 to 4446. I'll be sharing ideas for increasing the length of the other sizes at the end of the video. Also, at the end of the video, I'll tell you how much yarn I used. I'd like to tell you how many centimeters each motif is. Then we'll move on to making the motif. My motif is 10.5 centimeters. I reached 10.5 centimeters in 5 rows. Please evaluate the motif you're knitting by the inches I've given, not the row count. So, let's get started. Before we move on to making the motif, I want to remind you to subscribe if you haven't already. By clicking the subscribe button below the video, you can subscribe to my channel for free and support me. I want to remind you that your likes and comments are also very valuable. Also, if you share my videos with your friends who you call Oda lovers, you can support my channel. Thank you all in advance. Now, as I said, I'm knitting by mixing 2 yarns together. That's the viscose group. And now, let me tell you how many plies my viscose group has. I'd say 4 EE and 4 plus 1. It's 5 ply. It doesn't look very clear, but if you want to knit with the same yarn, contact Bill Heil and they'll give you detailed information or prepare the most suitable yarn. Now, our first row with the magic circle is like the beginning of the familiar granny square motif. After wrapping it around my finger, I insert my hook into the circle and slip off my stitch. After slipping off a stitch, I raise it and place it on my hook. I slip back into the circle, slip off a stitch and knit 2, then 2, completing my false double crochet. You can also start the pattern by working 3 chains here. 3 double crochets. I'm working with 2 chains in between. I always have 3 double crochets in between, 2 chains. After working my 4th group, I tighten the middle loop and make a chain. I make a chain and put the yarn over my hook. I also pull this yarn from the back up. Look, I've slipped on top of the first double crochet I made here. I'm also working this yarn over my hook. I immediately pull off my stitch and knit the 3 stitches on my hook together. Then I chain, rise, and knit my first false double crochet. Oh, I missed the double crochet. I shouldn't have missed it. Oh. You can use the chain again here, as I said, in the places where I used the fake double crochet. Now, I'm going to put this yarn over my hook. I'm going to knit that too. I'm working the first double crochet into this corner. Meanwhile, I have the double crochet in the corner. Then, I chain 1 and skip the double crochet here. I'll slip it over the top of the double crochet right next to it and pick up this yarn over it. I slip the stitch. I'm working a double crochet. Since I'm hiding the yarn while I'm knitting, I'm constantly looping this yarn around myself. Of course, you can hide it later. I have a chain in between. I'm putting my yarn over the hook. I'm taking this yarn and skipping 1 double crochet again, and I come into the corner space and work my 2 double crochets. 2 chains in between. 2 double crochets. 1 chain here. Always 2 chains in the corners. I'm working the top of the middle double crochet. Because I skipped a double crochet here, I'm skipping another double crochet and coming to the corner. 2 double crochets in the corner. 2 chains in between. I'm at the other corner. 2 double crochets. Another chain. I'm skipping 1 and slipping into the middle one. I'll continue in this manner until I reach the part 1 started. I've come to the corner. Now I'm working 2 double crochets here. I started by knitting 2. Here I'm chaining again and slipping into the top of the first double crochet, knitting 3 stitches, still in the middle. I'm starting with 2 double crochets in the corner again. I've knitted 1 second. The second. Now, let me show you this during this row. I'm going to work a double crochet into the top of each double crochet here. And also a double crochet into the space. So this is my filled row. So I'm starting by knitting into the top of this double crochet here. I'm at the top of this one. I'm in the space. We're also working where we made a chain, the top of the handrail. The space. The top of the handrail. I'm working the top of the handrail again, and from here I'm working the corner. 1, 2 double treble crochets, 2 chains. Again, 2 double treble crochets inside the corner, and then working the top of my handrails. Let's complete this row like this where I made a chain. I'm working the corner again here. I'm working my 2 double treble crochets and working another chain. Actually, our pattern repeats itself like this. It's like 3 rows. What am I doing now? I'm setting up the lattice row again. Oh, I sank without covering it. I'm going to sank without covering it. I slipped my stitch. I'm working the third one in one. I'm making a chain and rising. After turning it around and covering it, I always start with 2 double treble crochets in the corner. Then I chain and skip my first treble crochet. A double treble crochet over the second. A chain. I skip the first treble crochet over the second. Because we're in the lattice row. And when I reach the end, I only have 1 double crochet left. I skip that and come to the corner. 2 double crochets inside the corner. 2 chains. I work 2 double crochets again. A chain, and then I skip the first double crochet. With this logic, I'll continue back to where I started. I've reached the end of this row as well. So, we've completed the 4th row. I'm moving on to my 5th row, my final row. Because the last row of my motif is the filled part like this. Of course, at the end of the video, I'll tell those who want to work the motif in a larger size to knit the motif one more row. But this time, there will be a slightly different joining technique than the one I showed. But my friends who already knit and work on motifs won't have any trouble with this part. I'll suggest making it larger with a different idea. But I'm finishing with a filled part like this. When we move on to the next row, we'll actually be doing the same thing for the 3rd row. Now I've made a chain. I'm sinking into the top of my first double crochet here. I went up by slipping. I knitted 3 of them together. I'm also rising with a chain and starting with my false double crochet again. A double crochet next to it. Just as I showed in the 3rd row, I'm working my double crochet over all the double crochets and into the space where I made a chain. And when I complete all 5 rows, my motif will be finished. Let's continue until I started. I'm almost to the end. I'm working my last 2 double crochets in the corner again. Since it's the last row, I chain 2 and slip the stitch over the top of the first double crochet, slip it off, then go in nicely and cut my yarn. We've completed our motif. Now, as I said, I first knitted 30 of the 66 motifs, 6 by 6, 6 by 5, for the back and joined them. Now I'll show you how I did this joining technique. Let's start by joining 6 3 by 2 motifs to the sleeve motifs. This time, I'm using double the glittery yarn. I'll drop my stitch and start working the two edges of my first motif like a lattice row. Let's start the two edges at the corner first, by working 2 double crochets. Then, I chain 1, skip 1 double crochet, and slip it over the top of the one right next to it. 1 double crochet, 1 chain. I skip 1 double crochet. 1 double crochet, 1 chain. I skip 1 double crochet. I skip another double crochet. I'll chain 1 every 2 edges in this manner. When I get to the corner, I'll have 2 double crochets and 2 chains in between. Look, I work the same way as a lattice row. I'm there. Now, I'm working 2 double crochets into this corner. I chain 2 more and immediately pick up another motif. With the fronts of both motifs facing me, I work 2 double crochets into the corner of the new motif. Then, I chain 1, come off the hook, and slip my stitch into the first lattice space directly across from it and chain 1. I skip a double crochet underneath. I work a double crochet onto the top of the one next to it. 1 chain. Opposite that, let's slip our stitch into the first lattice space. I chain 1, skip a double crochet just below, and work a double crochet onto the top of the one next to it. 1 chain. We're through the lattice. We skip another chain, then a double crochet. A double crochet onto the one next to it. We join in this way until the end of the edge. As I get to the end, look again, I slip my stitch into the last lattice space here, and now I skip my stitch below, and I come to the corner. Since I'm in the corner, I work 2 double crochets. I chain 1, then I slip my stitch off the hook. I'm slipping my stitch from the corner space, making another chain, and then working 2 double crochets into the loop. Sorry, chain space again. I'm chaining. Skip the first double crochet here and work a double crochet on top of the second. I'll continue with this logic. How far along are you? Look, I've almost joined 2 motifs together. Now, I'll knit it exactly like this. I'll knit the same way up to here and then add the next motif. Now, since I have a 3x2 arm motif, I'll just add the third one here. I'll add this one here, just like I added this one here, and then I'll come back. I'll show you the turn. But if this were my back piece, for example, I'd say 6x5. I'd either start with the length and join 6, or, I'd join 5 across. It doesn't matter. We can join as many motifs lengthwise as we want. When I reach the motif length I want, I need a 3x3 motif. Since I won't be adding any more motifs when I turn this corner, I want to turn like this and show you the transition here. We'll turn like this, come back here, and start adding the next motif on top. Here, I'm right back at the corner. Look, I'm doing 2 double crochets, chain stitch, and then I'm knitting 2 double crochets. And with the same logic, I'm doing a chain stitch and skipping a single crochet at the bottom. Now let me move on up here. Let's do this transition here together. I work the first motif the same way, knitting its edge. When I get here, I chain stitch again and immediately inside the corner, I'm knitting 2 double crochets. After knitting the 2 double crochets, I chain stitch, and I slip into the gap in the middle of this section, slip my stitch, and pass it through my through my stitch, and I chain again and come to the inside of this corner here. I'm working 2 double crochets. 1 chain, skip the double crochet, a double crochet into the second double crochet. That's how we do the transition here. Now, I'll do the same here. After we've gone this far, let's add the next motif. I've knitted this edge like this with motif 1, 2, 3. If my motif were longer, I would have knitted that much more. I chain 2 and immediately add my next motif. Again, with the front of both motifs facing me, I knit 2 double crochets into the corner of the new motif. Chain 1, come off the hook, and look, we're slipping our stitch from the first lattice space here. I skipped a double crochet here and chained a double crochet into the next double crochet. I slip my stitch from the first lattice space again. Chain 1 and a double crochet into the next double crochet. Let me go this far. Up to here. How do you make the transition there? I'll show you what we'll do. As I approach here, look here, I'm skipping a double crochet again and coming to the corner. I'm knitting 2 double crochets and making a chain. I'm trying to insert the stitch right in the middle of where these 2 motifs meet, and I'm going to insert it right in the middle. I'll pass my stitch through. Then I'll make a chain and open the frame using the same logic. I'll continue knitting. So, the other 2 double crochets in the corner. 1 chain. Skip 1 double crochet. Insert the second one. Let's continue with the same logic until the end of this row. I've reached the end of this edge. I'll also make 2 double crochets inside this corner, and 1 chain here, of course. I'll also be knitting 2 double crochets and making 2 chains. I'll pick up my next motif. Starting at the corner of my new motif, I'll make a chain to work 2 double crochets. The fronts are facing me now, but I'll have them back to back. I'll remove the hook and pull it out of my cage here. We know this part now. I'll continue joining them using the same logic. Let me knit until I reach the point where all 4 corners meet. Let's go through that together. When I get this far, I've worked 2 double crochets and a chain into this corner here. Now, look, I'm inserting exactly in the middle of these 3 motifs. After I slip off my stitch, I'll chain and come back to the corner. I'll knit 2 double crochets into the corner, and this time I'll start joining these 2 edges. So, when I add the 4th motif, these are 4 motifs. I added this edge while adding this one. Next, we proceed with the same logic I showed you on this edge. We skip 1 double crochet and work over the other. After adding this edge to the end, I think we understand the joining logic. Let me show you the middle. Now I'll join this to this edge. Then, just like I placed this motif here, I'll place my other motif here. And we'll have completed 6 motifs to place the sleeve motif in place. I've also placed the last motif in place. Now, if this were my back piece, I would have made the 6 by 530 back piece in one piece. I would have knitted this edge and that edge, then cut my yarn. In fact, look, my back piece is here in one piece. But since I'm going to place it in the armhole, I'm going to place these 3 motifs in the armhole, which consists of 3 motifs. Then, when I knit this section will join here, and let me show you like this. It will be like this. When I knit this part in the armhole, it will join here, and I'll also give the sleeve its shape. If you want to make the sleeve larger, longer, you can just make a 3 by 3 instead of a 3 by 2 piece. Now, I've shown you how to join it here. With this logic, join the back piece and the other sleeve. I'll join it too. Let's place the armhole and the armhole together in our armhole. After joining the 6 by 530 motifs, this piece is our larger piece. Okay, I'll take this immediately and turn it inside out. Because I'll do the joining by turning the back piece inside out. Now, how did I create the front pieces? I want to show you right away. First, look at the left side when I lay it in front of me and the right side when I put it on. I'm starting to join the motifs like this. I take the bottom motif. Right next to it, I add this. Then, after adding this, hop, knit all the way to here and pick this one up. Add this one next to it. I've added the D piece. Hop, I'm coming. I'm coming to the top, so my top part is left open. I'm joining it with the last 2 pieces of this 6 by 530 count piece with the motif piece to create the shoulder. But I'm joining the motifs here exactly halfway. Because I'm going to add the 3 by 2 6 motif under the arm by incorporating it into the sleeve we created. Of course, we'll do them together. When I put the left side in front of me, I add the left side like this. As for the right side, let me show you that right away. So, we made a horizontal join on the left. I'm making a vertical join on the right. What does that mean? I'm taking the top motif on this one. Hop, underneath this, under this. I create a long piece of 6 motifs all the way to the bottom and knit the hop edge up. Then I add the other 6 pieces next to it. This way, with a vertical join, I join the left side when I put it on, and the right side when I put it in front of me. And here, this bottom edge joins, and I start joining it from there. I'll place the sleeve motif. It's the same as the last 2 motifs. I'll also make a join halfway there. Because why? As I said, you know we've already joined the sleeve piece. It's 3 by 2. When I place it, I'll be placing it like this. Let me show you. Since I've joined it this far, I'll complete it by joining halfway here, halfway from the front, and halfway from the back. Now, let's set this aside. In fact, when I lay these pieces down in front of me first, I'll be adding the right side. I also take the left piece. I use the same join I made on the 3 by 2 piece on the smaller piece when I join these larger pieces together. Let me bring it down like this. Let me turn it around and show you how it is here. I've reached the very last corner. I'm going to join my piece and now start joining it to the side. So, I'm immediately coming off the hook at the corner. Let me get the stitches the same size. I'm slipping through this corner and slipping my stitch through it. Then, I chain a stitch and work 2 double crochets into the same corner. I'm coming off the hook. I chain a stitch and slip off the hook. I slip my stitch from the first space in the hook that matches the stitch. I chain again and skip to a double crochet and slip to the top of the next double crochet. I chain a stitch. Hop, I slip from the row in the space and continue joining using the same logic, the logic I just showed, until I get to this part. Look, when I get to this point, I want to show you how I made the transition here with the opposite side. I'm here. I'm immediately grabbing my yarn over my hook. Here, I slip a double crochet again, work 2 double crochets into the corner, and chain a stitch. First, I slip into this space and slip my stitch. Then, I take out the hook and insert it into the exact center of where these 2 corners on the back meet, and slip my stitch from there once. After making a chain, I come to the corner and work 2 double crochets, then chain 1, and continue joining until I'll create the armhole, using the same technique I just showed. As I approach the motifs where I'll create the armhole, I'll have the last 2 motifs from the top, on either side. Now, I'll move right to the middle of this motif. How do I determine the middle? Look at this double crochet we see below, it's the exact center of the motif. The double crochet that comes to the top of it will also be the exact center, so I come back there and work a double crochet. I don't join the top anymore. I'll knit the part where I'll create the armhole separately until I reach this point. Then, I'll join these 2 upper motifs with these 2 back motifs, creating the shoulder section and completing the armhole. I'll skip 1 stitch as I work this separate stitch. I'll knit the top of the next double crochet. Let's work our way to the top using the technique I showed and join the top 2 edges. I've knitted this part of the armhole. Now I'm at the corner. Let's work 2 double crochets. Then, I chain, insert the stitch into the opposite corner, and slip my stitch there. Then, I chain, insert the stitch into the corner again. And slip my stitch into this space here. Let's join the top 2 motifs. This way, when we've worked this far, we'll have completed one side. I'm nearing the end of the top edges. Now I wanted to complete one side together. As I'm completing it, I'm immediately making a chain here again, inserting my stitch. Sorry, I chain, inserting into the back center first. Then, I chain again, inserting into the top of the first double crochet here. I'll fasten it like this and cut my yarn. We've completed one side as I mentioned, now it's time for the other side. Now, once you understand this, working the other side is quite easy. I'll show you the logic right now. I've laid it out in front of me. We've completed this side. I took the other one. We started this from the bottom corner. We're starting this side with the top 2 motifs. So, we'll start with the shoulder and join these two motifs here. Then, after joining this, I'll knit all the way down to where the double crochet I showed here is, without joining it. This will create the armhole. From here, let's join again and work down to the bottom. When we get here, we'll have completed the joining. I'll show you how to knit around it. First, we knit around the arm before attaching it. Then we move on to the arm. I think I've explained the logic here. I came up here like this, I knitted without joining. Let's continue down here. Now I added this. Look, I started here. I moved from this corner. I came right up. I want to show you what I did here. Now, where was my baseline? Right here, all the way to the middle. This is the double crochet in the middle. I use this as a baseline. I knitted 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 cages up to that. I continued to join by slipping through the 6th stitch. I even went all the way down. I'm right where the skirt is. Now, how do I join when I get here? I've worked 2 double crochets into the corner and made a chain. I slip my stitch through this corner, make another chain, and slide it to the top of the first crochet. You can rise with 3 chains here. How do I do it with my single crochet? Let's take another look. I'm rising. I'm putting it on my hook. I get to the bottom of it, slip my stitch, then I wrap it through the first slip stitch, after the second stitch on the hook, and work the 2 stitches on the hook together. And now, these double crochets in the corner, in these passes, I'm going to make a total of 2, 4, 6 double crochets. I'm now on this double crochet. I'm also on this double crochet and work 1 double crochet. Then, pull a chain, and look, I'm pulling a chain over this chain here. A double handrail to the top of this banister here. You can also go around the entire area with a filled handrail if you like. To do this, what you need to do is, where I've pulled a chain here, that is, a double handrail in the gap there with a chain. You can also move on to the top of a banister, a gap, and a handrail and fill it in. But since I want a slightly more seasonal cardigan that isn't too thick and has a flowing texture, I want to continue around it, matching the lower cages. For this, I'll pull another chain. 1 double handrail to the top of my banister. 1 chain. 1 double handrail to the top of the banister. I'm continuing like this. Let me get to this point. Let's do this transition together. I'm approaching the middle section. Look, I've pulled a double handrail here. Now, I'm pulling a double handrail to the top of the double handrail right next to it. A double handrail inside this corner space. Then I skip this. A double handrail inside this corner space here. Then I knit my double handrail here again to the top of the banisters. And I start the lattice again. Let's continue like this until the corner. I'm approaching the corner. Let's cross the corner together. When I get to the corner, I knit my double handrails again to the top of the banisters below. I knit 2 double handrails inside the corner and chain 2 more. Let's continue by knitting 2 double handrails inside the same corner. Now I knit it again to the top of the banisters here. Let me show you this corner quickly. How did we pass? I passed it like this. And I immediately chain. I skip the one chain handrail here and knit a single handrail to the top of the banister. A single handrail to the top of the chain handrail. I'll continue like this all the way to the nape of the neck. Let's knit the nape of the neck together. As I approach the neckline, continue with the same technique, and you'll see something like this appear on the neckline. I'll knit over the double crochet here again. Then, I knit a double crochet into the corner space here and then I jump into the corner space here. Let me show you how. After knitting over the double crochets here, I continue with the same principle by knitting a double crochet over a chain crochet. All the way to the corner on the other side, which is right here. I'll do the same here. What will I do? I'll knit a double crochet over the double crochets in this corner. Then I'll come back to the corner here, over the double crochets here, and with the same logic, I'll continue to where I started, completing it in one row. Because it will reach the ideal size for me. Then, I'll place one arm in place. Let's place the other arm together. After I finish the surrounding area, I placed one arm. I want to show you right there. Look, just like I said, I've joined half of the motif below to the front and half to the back. Now I'm going to turn the armhole. Oh, and by the way, I've completed the armhole by going one row around it. Now I'm going to turn the armhole, and we'll place the armhole here together, forming the sleeve piece. I think it'll be much clearer. Now I'm taking my sleeve piece. Let me show you this quickly. Look, we left two sections open. This is the section that will fit into the armhole. It's a triple motif. I'll fold the double section like this and join it here. First, bring it right in front of me, look here, and start joining it back to back like this. We'll join it at the top. I'll prepare my stitch right now and let's insert it in the middle of these two sections. Let's decrease our stitch in the middle of these two corners like this. Then I'll move it out. Now I've got this right here, look in front of me, I've got it. I'm going to insert it right here, where the middle of the two is, and I'll pull my stitch out of it. Then I chain right into this corner right here and I knit 2 double crochets and then I chain right into this corner and start joining them using the technique I showed you. The arm piece, well, I showed you the transition right there. That's right there in the middle, and we know it now, so I'd like to show you how I do it from the other side too. Let me move forward here. I crossed it just like the other side. Look, when I get here, I proceed the same way. I pass it through the gap opposite it. 5 boxes are on this side. I arrange the 5 boxes that way because I have 10 boxes. Now, after I do that here, I'll count them right away. Now I'm here. This will be my transition right in the middle. This will be the point where we meet. I'll come right back. I knit it into this gap right here and chain it to the top of the handrail. After I reach this gap here, I pass it through it, and this time I start joining this side. I'm immediately diving into the next box. I'm going to come down, skip 1 double crochet, and then skip another. 1. Inside the next. skip one inside the next. 1 chain. I'm slipped into my last box here. I'm going to work 2 double crochets into the corner, and now I'll go over this one with the other one. I've made a chain here. I slipped my yarn through the gap between the 2 groups of 3 and missed it. I'll catch it right away. I'm slipping it out and coming off my hook. I slipped into the middle point opposite and pulled my stitch through it. I'm going to make a chain and work the other 2 double crochets right into this corner right here. I'm going to chain in, come off my hook, and start joining this. Now, where do I join it? Let me show you. Look, I'm in the last motif now. I'm going to join this edge here. Then we'll move on to joining these 2 sides. I've reached the part that reaches the armpit. Here, I'm going to work 2 double crochets into the corner, slipped into this middle point under the armpit, and pulled my stitch through it. Let me lengthen my stitch like this. When you knit 2 times, of course, you need to master 2 pads. Now, let's turn and join the side to form the sleeve piece. The first cage across from a chain. Now, let's continue joining with the same logic I've shown all the way to the sleeve hem. When I get to the sleeve hem, I immediately knit the next group of double crochets in this corner. With double crochets. Then I release my hook, of course. I chained one and got stuck again. I immediately chained another. I'm out. After slipping my stitch through the corner here, I chain another. Then I come to the top of my first double crochet here, and it's no different from the logic I worked around my cardigan. I start knitting the sleeve hem with the exact same logic. I missed it. I immediately knit a fake double crochet, another double crochet next to it, and a chain double crochet over the double crochet, just as I said, and then I'll finish it. Yes, sir, we've reached our favorite part, the finale. I've completed my cardigan. As I said, let me tell you this. It will easily fit sizes 36 to 42 or 44. So, if you knit 45 rows around the placket on a 46 instead of just one like I did, it'll be a stretch. Let me tell you, because it's closer to 120 centimeters around the hips. My humble advice for women over a size 464 who want to make the cardigan is to change the number of motifs, not the number of rows, and remove the center back motif and place motifs under the arms to enlarge the cardigan. This is just a suggestion. Of course, you can also knit a row larger around the motif. This time, the row will end in a lattice pattern. By knitting a lattice pattern over the lattice, which is actually a slightly more openwork join, like we did around it, you can create a loose cardigan. A total of 600 grams of yarn was used. 350 grams of this was my glittery yarn. Well, I'd say about 250 grams is the viscose yarn inside. It's a lightweight cardigan and has a very stylish look. I hope you liked how it looks on me. The explanation was clear and beautiful. If you liked it, as always, I'd like to ask for your kind words. I'd like to thank dear Bill Heil Hobie once again for these beautiful yarns. Bless everyone who's watched this far. See you in the next videos. Goodbye, friends.